Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Leesburg, Virginia. Segra is the place. Loudoun, New York. Final game of the USL Championship season, and this game is presented by Segra. I am Bruce Silverman along with Eric Dabrowski. And Eric, tonight we've got a fun matchup. We got Loudoun with a lot to prove on a 3-game unbeaten streak. And then you have Red Bull coming into the playoffs with a spot, but they're limping their way in.
They are, and it's an incredibly intriguing matchup because you have a young Loudoun team really trying to catapult themselves into a good offseason, and then you have a Red Bulls team, like you mentioned, they're kind of going the opposite direction of this Loudoun team, but they sit 1 point behind the Rowdies with that ability to jump in that top 4 spot in the standings.
It's going to be a really interesting evening throughout USL Championship. It's going to be a lot of fun to keep everybody abreast of what is going on. And those top 3 positions could all shuffle around tonight as well. We've got an injury report, and let's take a look at it, brought to you by Ortho Virginia. And Connor Presley, questionable, but in the 34th game of the season, isn't everybody questionable?
Yep, everybody's trying to get healthy at this time of year.
And New York, Eduardo and Roy, will they be able to go? That is the question. So the matchup is here. We're about ready to get started. Kyle Murphy has just been on fire. 11 goals leading the way.
For a Loudoun team that's not going to make the playoffs, Kyle Murphy has really been that leader, that dynamic player that he leads the team in goals. He's got 3 assists as well. He's been dependable all season. He makes such dynamic runs. 1v1 in the attack, really creates space for others as well.
And for New York, we were making a joke about this a few minutes ago. For the love of the game, might be a different sport. Jared Strout, not Ken Strout, but hey, when you're sent in and you're told wreck it, this is what you do. Upper 90, you make something out of nothing.
Incredible. Team leader in goals, 14, and leads the team in assists with 9. He's had timely goals throughout the season. He knows what dangerous space looks like, and he knows how to find the back of the net.
Let's play some football, folks. Game number 34 for both of these teams coming up next on ESPN+. Welcome back to Segra. Bruce Silverman along with Eric Dabrowski. And Eric, we've got a great matchup here. Loudoun, New York, final game of the season. New York going to back their way into the playoffs. Loudoun on a 3-game unbeaten streak, really playing well. Ryan Martin wants them to finish strong, go into the offseason, looking to have some fun. Time to take a look at the lineups, and they're brought to you by National Conference Center. We start with Loudoun you've seen this team before, you got to like the lineup they're running out.
And we highlighted Kyle Murphy early on, the 11 goals, 3 assists, leads the team in goals. But Antonio Bustamante has been incredible this final half of the season. 4 goals, 4 assists. So look for him to get involved in play as well.
And the defense is anchored by the veteran Hunter Gorski. Looking at the visitors tonight, they run out a lineup that has a lot of firepower as well.
And look for Jared Stroud to really be involved in the attack. He's got 14 goals, 9 assists. See if he can help this team kind of springboard themselves into a good playoff run. And they're just 1 point away from that top 4 spot.
The team in gray going from right to left on your screen, that's Red Bull 2. Red head to toe. That will be Loudoun. They will go from left to right. Loudoun will have the ball at their feet. We're underway. We get started. Gordon Wild was the first man to touch it tonight.
And I'm very interested to see the opening exchanges here in this game because, like we highlighted at the beginning, you have a team in Loudoun that's not in the playoffs, and then you have a team in New York that sitting 5th.
Wild centering from Gorski, going through the 18, picked up by Murphy, sent backwards, and they'll reset in the middle.
So I wonder what the mentality is with head coach Ryan Martin and his young squad.
Ridden out of the box. And now New York will control it for the first time this evening. Bezecourt battling, going to his feet. Whistle stops play, tangled up with Nelson Martinez. You look at this Loudoun team, they are very young. But then again, there's a couple of players over there for New York, and here the ball going all the way back the other way. It has to be cleared out. Settling down once again for Loudoun. Working the top. Trying to find their way into the middle. Ball slides through. Ball at the feet of Murphy. Trying to get it to that right foot. Pulls the trigger and it's knocked away. LeBeau didn't even know it was there. And that will be ushered back to the New York keeper.
I think when you go into talking about this Loudoun team, it is a young team, and I think with that youth, they've found themselves with some bumps throughout the season with the inexperience, the inconsistency, because they've been able to score goals at 50 goals, but they've conceded 61.
Cleared out off that back line. Loudoun trying to turn things around. Murphy, the captain, going back to Hunter Gorski, and then all the way back to Brown. Strong right foot by Brown. Wow. Might have to get him a contract with the Redskins. Kilwine pulling up the brakes, sliding it over. Scarlett. Coffee. And it seems like, you asked the question, Eric, what do you expect out of Loudoun tonight? I think they're going to press hard, press high. That's exactly what Martin told us the other day. And I think that New York is just basically going to allow the game to come to them. Perfect ball, slid forward, in the box, centering, and coolly cleared out. Jurgensen really not with a lot on that one. And it's able to get cleared out nicely by the home team.
And I agree with you 100% with the assessment in terms of how Loudoun's going to come out and how New York's going to come out, because Loudoun needs to kind of learn something about their team tonight going into the offseason. New York's got a playoff run coming up.
LeBeau cleared out once again. New York's still on it. Stroud trying to find some clearance. Finally gets it out. LeBeau once again sent in, cleared out. Third time from that left side, ball getting centered, and the defense for Loudoun being there.
Loudoun has done a tremendous job so far here in the early minutes of really getting good coverage on those services and being clean defensively out of the back. But we go back to what Red Bulls are looking for. They're probably treating this game as a playoff game right now. They're 1 point behind Rowdies, who play Hartford Athletic tomorrow. So for that 4th spot, So they could possibly treat it, and like you said, really try to grow into this game and put their footprint in it as the game develops.
Opportunity, finds the back of the net. Endor in the 5th, 1-0 Loudoun.
That's such a tremendous start for Coach Ryan Martin's Ryan Martin's squad. I mean, 5 minutes in, you get a goal, you go up, and we talk about Red Bull's results early on. I mean, in terms of the last 3 or 4 results, Red Bull's got to be sitting there. What do we have to do to get a lead early?
Ball played really well, and then just enough balance. Endor, the man from Senegal, goes to the left post and just kisses it inside.
And you could already see in this first 5 minutes that New York is struggling to deal with Endor's physicality. They've cleared a couple balls out of the back with Callie Brown and built out of the back with Loudoun, and they're struggling with that one forward set with Endor up there, and he's causing some havoc and obviously rewarded himself with a goal there.
At 6'2", 175, he was able to hold off the defender really well, stay on his feet, get it to that right foot, and just get enough. It wasn't a pretty shot, but when it goes in, it's effective.
And I think if you're New York Red Bulls, you're frustrated because Endor was the only runner in the box, and you had 4 defenders in the box. So how does one runner find the space to have space and time to finish that as well?
Set piece opportunity coming up. Eric Tattersall with the man with the whistle and the barbasol this evening. And so right now, Bizacourt on the ball, left foot, ready to go, long distance, serve it up into the middle. What are you looking for here?
Looking to be really secure with the clearance. You just scored. So you want to make sure you don't give any second chances here. Obviously earning a corner kick.
Yeah, looking for Kilwine. It was headed out. So the in-swinger coming up. They got a short option as well. Stroud will take it. Lifting it in the air. Headed out by the home team. And it has to be chased down by McSherry. Number 30 steals it away from number 30. That's Nelson Martinez for Loudoun. Good ball movement on the exchange.
Oh, unfortunate there with Endor clipping his heels there. And what you brought up earlier about Red Bulls growing into this game, developing a little bit of a game plan in terms of how Loudoun plays, they're just going to have to do it a little quicker now.
You know, it's interesting coming into this game. We'll get to that thought in a second. Ball at the feet, moving their way through. Takes the shot, not a lot on that left foot. Kyle Murphy, if he was able to plant that right foot and get something behind it, might very well have made it a 2-0 game.
It really is a Loudoun game right now in terms of they're winning those first and second balls. The pace of this game is quite impressive. For one, you have a Loudoun team that's not in the playoff hunt, and then you have a New York team that's sitting in 5th. So you'd think Loudoun's the one going into the playoffs this year.
Red Bulls with a win could find themselves with a home playoff game, and that's cleared off by Martinez, the 17-year-old at a DCU academy.
And watching Loudoun a number of times this season, it hasn't been the slow build-up play in the final third that they've struggled with, because they do get really good numbers behind the ball to defend services. It's been getting countered on, and they've left those gaps in the counterattack.
Bizacourt, left foot, high in the air and snatched out of the air by Callie Brown.
Because as you can see early on, they're taking on a lot of services, but they really dealt with them pretty seamlessly.
Well, and also all of the attack by Red Bulls 2 is coming from that left side. And the balls played into the middle have not been effective, and they've been cleared out very nicely by the back line of Loudoun. Opportunity now once again in the box and cleared out by Martinez. And Martinez definitely a two-way player. Here's New York once again, and then that's cleared out and put past the line by Douay. Another DC Academy player. Played previously with North Carolina FC. Throw in by McSherry.
And you bring up a great point with the services, because although they're creating some of those.
Ball spending some time in a dangerous area for the home team. They're able to clear it out. Endor getting involved.
Yeah, although they're creating those opportunities, they just have to be a little bit more intentional, a little bit more purposeful in what the space they occupy when they do get it in that final third in that 18-yard box.
Good to stay on the ball. Here comes Loudoun once again. The attack from the left, centering in, and cleared out and controlled very calmly. Nice battle there, but the ball continues to go forward for New York before it's finally sent back. We're in the 10th minute. 1-0 Loudoun. 5 minutes ago, Endor. New York in the box. And Brown read it perfectly. Jurgensen was coming in. Well played, but Brown, perfect positioning.
And that's going to be the ball that Red Bulls is going to need to find, which is that bent ball, that shaped ball that kind of beats that back line of Loudoun. Good run. You want to put a little bit more on that and bury it. I think Red Bulls are thinking that they should probably be a level at this point.
Stroud, we talked about him in the open, 23 years old, out of Chester, New Jersey. You look around the Red Bull lineup, and what really struck me, Eric, there's some Ivy Leaguers on this team. We'll get to that throughout the game. Stroud just outside the box, works his way in. Working around, centers, nobody's home. Controlled by Dewey, sent out. Here's Murphy trying to play the line, but he ran out of space. Lift towards the touchline, then brought in towards the 18. Bezecourt lays off. Options in the middle. Nice little flick, but nobody home. Intended for LeBeau.
This game already early on, and it is early. It's there's nothing that's going to be determined just yet, but this already reminds me of when Loudoun had North Carolina here at home about a month ago, and North Carolina was sitting at 4th in the standings at that point, and Loudoun absorbed pressure really well, and they countered extremely well. They really frustrated North Carolina in the final third. They got numbers behind the ball. They really didn't give North Carolina a number of options, kind of finding those gaps, and they're doing that to New York right now. If New York is struggling to find that tempo that can break this back line and really open up a channel for them to get into.
Endor on the wing, staying on the ball, able to center. The shot finds the back of the net. We're 2-0 in the 13th. Bustamante, the 20-year-old.
And again, dealing with Endor has been difficult for New York right now. And Antonio Bustamante, the young midfielder, so calm and collected right there inside the 18-yard box. Here you can see just a simple throw-in, and Endor just physically can go at people athletically, plays a great ball across, and Bustamante is just calm. Just finds that upper right corner and buries it.
Got it to that favorite foot and just let loose on it. But credit to Endor, who did a really, really great job of staying on the ball, fighting off the defender to be able to center it. You don't always see that out of a striker.
Correct, and you could see he literally almost had all eyes on him, and everybody pulled towards him because he was going right at the end line, and then everybody lost track of Antonio Bustamante. So Endor has put his fingerprint on this game really early, and this has got to be a great start. The start that Ryan Martin would like to say he wanted.
No,
if you said 15 minutes in, you'd be up 2-0.
No, especially, and we can keep talking about the playoff picture and what this game means for both of these teams. But what this game means for New York is that shot goes way off the mark. For New York, a win and a loss by Tampa Bay, and New York is hosting a playoff game. Loudoun doesn't have that option. But players on this pitch right now want to impress not only Ryan Martin for 2020, but they want some looks by Ben Olsen and others with DC United. DC now in the 80s right now with Toronto and down 1-0 in that playoff game. But these guys want to finish like they are in the playoffs. And ball play like that is going to get it done. And like that. Endor, ball at the feet. Missed. Hips were just way too open. Wasn't anywhere aligned. But what great play by Moses Nyman to stay on the ball and able to get it centered when it looked like the play was over.
And it's incredible. I mean, Nyman only 15 years old. I mean, making an impact on this game as well. And you stated it perfectly. Was yes, Loudoun's not in the playoffs, but they can really show Ryan Martin, this club, and then DC United that they're ready to be pros and they're ready to really grow as a program and get more consistent results. Because the way this team has finished off the season.
Mine centering in. Jurgensen getting rid off the ball. He stays on it. Bezecourt, big save, but not enough as your man, Jared Stroud, just made it a 2-1 game in the 16th.
Stroud is just that classic finisher. We opened with it earlier. Was he just knows that dangerous space. He knows that there's a chance that Callie Brown could spill it there, and he's right there to finish it. It doesn't have to be, it's not a style point. When a ball goes in the back of the net, it counts as the same. And he knows that. He's been phenomenal all season. He gets New York back in this game.
Brown coming up big once. Stayed down. If he had gotten up, he makes the second save. I have said for years, rebounds should be a statistic in soccer.
Absolutely, and I think he makes a phenomenal first save, and really unfortunate that that ball bounced, chipped right over him from Jared Stroud. But good response from New York. As much as we're talking about, hey, Loudoun's doing a great job of being pros, and the youngsters are really making an impact at Endor and things of that nature, that's a good response from New York.
Well, it's the response they need. Win, lose, or draw tonight, they have to find a way to get back on track. They have not won a game since September 13th. Gorski with the mistake, and a rare one for the veteran. Stroud with the ball at his feet. Thought that Jurgensen was going to break on it, and Jurgensen was standing upright, and Brown will pick it up, and he'll send it away. Building out of the back, the home team with the 1-0 lead. Goals at 5 and 13. But they seem to be allowing New York right now, Eric, to control the tempo, and that's something that didn't happen through the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, now New York's playing the front foot. They're winning a lot of those second balls, and I think that's where that pace is decided a little bit more, is those second balls in the midfield, those turnovers.
Centered, knocked away. Here's Wild. That was a dangerous play, to play it towards net when you're trying to clear it out, and that's why New York's on the ball right now.
Yeah, I think Loudoun's getting a little too casual out of the back and really turning this ball over going forward. But I say that, and really both their goals have been on a quick little counter and really exposing Red Bulls.
Well, they've also exposed the left side of the defense for New York. Now the ball on the left side of the offense for New York. Stroud sending it out. And right back, flicking it into the box, headed out, but right to the awaiting feet of Zayats. Coffee, Zayats, and then there's Wild. Dangerous way to clear, and it's right back to New York. LeBeau. Zayats. Back to LeBeau, just outside the box. Will center it in. Bezecourt nearly found the inside of the far post. It goes just outside. If he's a little bit more patient, he might get a better shot off.
And now Loudoun's just fortunate to be up one goal at this point. I mean, New York's really done a good job of breaking them down in the 18 there. Bezecourt Probably wants that one back, but I thought that was actually a quality take right there for Bezecourt. Awkward angle, and he really did come close to equalizing. And you said it earlier, a lot of the play has been on the left side of this field in terms of Loudoun seems to be attacking the left side of Red Bulls, and then Red Bulls seems to like to attack out of their left side and get services in. So you wonder if that's something that Loudoun kind of saw in tape, in the ability of, hey, in transition, we should be able to find an opening on New York's left side because they're so attack heavy out of that side. You just never know if their players are so forward, hey, we can hit Endor in that gap and really let him go and cause havoc. And then you're spreading out the other backs. You're spreading out the center backs. You're making other people cover ground.
Stroud. Lebo cleared out. And that we've seen time and time again is New York coming down that left side, trying to center, getting stymied. But what's happening is Loudoun's not doing a good job of clearing it out. Ball staying in the third. Well, now New York's worked it into the middle. But the clearances are what's letting Loudoun down right now because they were using it to counter. Now they're not. Another opportunity to clear, and they just can't get it done. New York staying on the ball. Zayats into the middle. Thought about it, but sent it backwards. Coffee. And Gorski sacrifices his body there. Brown will snatch it out of the air, highlighted. Right out. Here comes Bustamante. He had a goal at 13, leading the attack now. Not enough on that one. He was looking for Endor. And it's stolen away by Scarlett.
And early on, you go back to the clearances you were just talking about. Early on, Loudoun was able to find those pockets of space with those clearances. Now they're misfiring all over the place and really just turning the ball back over to Red Bulls.
New York sending it through the box. Bustamante, wild, past the stripe, pulling up the brakes, a little flick forward. It's got Bustamante, and Bustamante has friends. Loudoun wanted a handball, looked like it was all chest, and we stay on it. Douay. Here's Martinez.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see because it really does seem like both teams are incredibly committed to what their game plans are. You can see clear as day what each team is trying to do. So it's going to be fun to see as this game develops and each team grows into it, what adjustments are made. You know, a part of being a pro is making the adjustment before halftime and really trying to recognize what space is dangerous.
And right now it is the clearance of Loudoun really letting them down. New York in the box. Couple of players down around the 6. Everybody wanted a whistle. Nobody gets one. New York's going to have to play it back into the box. Stroud turned on it, and Brown was right there in the 23rd. We stay at 2-1.
And Loudoun don't give up those opportunities all day in terms of they'll give up Stroud having his back to goal, having to do a little half turn outside the 18 and try to finish from there.
Yeah, Brown has not really been called into duty all that much. He made that save before giving up the goal. It's hard to play goalkeeper when you're laying on the ground. But Loudoun surprised that Tattersall let that one go as it was right in front of him. Here's the counter, New York sliding it forward. Not a lot on that pass. And stolen away. And now we've got a whistle. For Verth. And we get another look, Coach.
And it really looked like Loudoun was going to go on a little bit of a break in terms of they were going out. So it's a little silly foul by Verth. It looks like they were going to win possession and be able to counter. Maybe just a little frustrated with the way the tempo of this game is turning around right now. Doesn't look like he picked up a yellow, but he's getting a talking to.
Well, basically it's please don't do that again. Don't use your shoulder. It's okay. And we're not having dinner tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. You nailed that conversation.
Not my first rodeo. Kilwine playing catch. And now they'll work the right side.
You look at Loudoun and you could see how many numbers they have. Even Endor's back behind the ball. Now obviously he's traveling a little bit more to midfield, but they're so committed to getting behind the ball early.
Knocked away and then cleared out. This is where the breakdown has been for Loudoun, is in the transition. But now they've got real estate to work with. Gorski led the charge. Pass was off the mark. And this could be dangerous. Collins sends it back to Brown. Frustrating for a team when they get the counter to get stymied just when they need to get things started.
Yeah, I think both teams have got to be a little frustrated with their counterattack right now. I mean, New York and Loudoun just seem to be not very clinical when it comes to that final ball. You never know whether it's the turf, whether it's the surface. You know, I'm not trying to make excuses for these players, but they're talented players. So to come up with some of the passes that they've come up with on the counter.
Bustamante is the man who's down. He gets clipped from behind.
Yeah, it looks like he got rolled up a little bit there off the clearance. You hope the goal scorer is okay.
So you see Murphy, the captain, there. Martinez is there. Everybody having a conversation with Tattersall as Bustamante will get worked on. The 20-year-old out of Alexandria, Virginia, comes through the DCU Academy, as a number of these Loudoun players have. Gives me an opportunity. I want to go back to a statement I made earlier about New York Red Bull and some of the schools that these guys have gone to. Stroud went to Colgate. McSherry goes to Princeton. Zayats is from Georgetown. LeBeau, the left fullback, German out of Fordham. There's some pretty nice degrees all over the pitch for New York.
Those are some impressive educations right there. And again, it just shows you how deep soccer and college soccer is nowadays, that these teams, Ivy League teams, whatever conference it is, they're developing players and they're doing a great job of getting these kids ready for those that want to play at this next level.
So here is Bustamante, up, limping, but they're going to substitute him out. So the question of the day is, Ryan Martin is going to have to go to his bench sometime after the 27th minute. Number one, as a coach, you never want to go to your bench this early in the game. Two, you don't want to take out one of your goal scorers. Three, you want to give a young guy an opportunity to finish the season with his studs on.
Correct, and it looks like Ryan Martin's going to let them work on Bustamante for a minute or two here and see if he can go anymore, because what you said is spot on. You want the 20-year-old to be able to finish the match. He's obviously scored a goal tonight, so you really want him to end the season on a high as well. And then it really would kind of put a little damper in the rotation in terms of what you had planned moving forward.
10 men right now for Loudoun and a full complement for New York. They'll send the ball back. Kilwine, who played at Florida Gulf Coast. Beautiful campus on the west coast of Florida. And that pass is well off the mark. Sent back, but New York will stay on it and regroup in the middle of the pitch. Coffee. Zayats. And this is where Loudoun will catch their breath and kind of regroup defensively, especially if New York's not going to press forward quickly. Stroud into the box. He's got a man open, couldn't handle it, and that's off the mark. See which way the flag will go. We'll stay where we are, and Bezecourt will jog out to the loneliest corner of the pitch. We get another look at this one. Well whipped in ball.
Very good flighted ball. You just wish maybe, you know, he swings it back in or does something on the first touch there. It seems like he lets Loudoun kind of catch their breath and get numbers behind again. So when you get a good whipped ball in, a shaped ball in there, you really want to do something a little bit more dangerous than that. But
High ball, headed out.
And I wonder how long head coach Ryan Martin's going to stick with Bustamante getting looked at.
And that was a good look by LeBeau, but the difference was he lifted it, and here is the substitution.
Unfortunate for Bustamante that he couldn't finish the game. He was really finding a rhythm in here. But Elvis Amo is a quality attacker as well. So, you know, head coach Ryan Martin really giving a different look.
All right, 30 minutes in is when Amo comes in as Brown sends it forward. Segra, with its industry-leading customer service and one of the East Coast's largest fiber networks, is powering organizations of all sizes with state-of-the-art voice, data, and internet services. Whether you're a municipality, a large business, or a fledgling startup, Segra knows you can't afford to be down. Their fast, reliable, and secure solutions keep you up and running and ahead of the pack. Gorski out wide for Martinez, sending it forward. And coach, the other thing is we're seeing those passes in transition by Loudoun, not precise, and the ball is being turned around on them.
It is. They're just misfiring a little bit. They have the options. They are really finding space that they can get in behind and really go at New York. And I think Endor has done well kind of fighting off some of and opening up the channels for them. But for some reason, they're really not comfortable playing him into feet.
Ball sent forward over the top, foot race. Here's Murphy in the box. He's got options. And he's going to the spot. Loudoun's already up 2-1. Penalty kick coming up next. Question of the day, who does Ryan Martin send to it? Murphy doing a good job just sending it out and then running right into it. McSherry on the infraction.
So unfortunate for McSherry too, because he really tried to get out of the way there at the end, but it's one of those things where you really put yourself in a bad position. You had Kyle Murphy going away from goal at that point, so you defended it very well. But you put yourself in that spot and you put yourself in a position where the ref makes a call. And here's Kyle Murphy.
Here's the captain, 26 years old, played college ball at Clemson, played previously with San Antonio FC here in championship, and he's looking in the 33rd minute to make it 3-1 home team. 12 yards, 36 feet, however you want to call it. Here's a right foot. Buries it. 3-1, Loudoun.
Well taken penalty kick by Kyle Murphy. You can really tell he's calm, comfortable, confident with those PKs. Head coach Ryan Martin there with his staff. We talk about New York's response to going down 2-0. This is a good response by Loudoun, taking a lot of pressure. Kyle Murphy, captain, leading goal scorer, says, hey, I'll put us back up 2 goals.
And this has been the first trip, this trip in the 31st, 32nd minute. First trip for Loudoun down the pitch in probably 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that's even more frustrating for New York because they have really done a good job of controlling the tempo of this game. After getting the goal, they really opened it up for themselves. They found a little bit more success, and then you give Loudoun that one chance, and McSherry kind of puts himself in that position where the referee's got to make a call.
Laura went one way, the ball went the other. And so the visitors really putting themselves in a hole right now.
I mean, what about having a 4-goal first half right now with still 12 minutes to play? You know, you go in wondering what the matchup's going to look like when you have a 12th place team playing a 5th place team.
But I think it also speaks to the quality of Loudoun and how they decided they wanted to finish this season.
Absolutely, and I think it also goes to the quality of the Eastern Conference, the league, in terms of these results are so important throughout the season, and you can go back and you can look at the inconsistency Loudoun's had throughout the season. They're really finding a good rhythm here towards the end. But those results that they might let slip away earlier in the year, those come back, and those are points that you lost.
Long distance pass doesn't connect as McSherry steps in front of it. Dewey sends it out of play. Throw in here, 35th. It is now 1-0 Hartford over Tampa Bay in the 48th minute. Goal was just scored. So opportunity for New York with a win, depending upon how things go in Hartford tonight. But Hartford doing their part of allowing New York an opportunity to host a playoff game with a win today if they can hold off the Rowdies here on the final weekend of the regular season. Brown rolling it out.
And then on the flip side for New York,
Murphy powers his way through, makes it a brace, back of the net, 36 minutes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Loudoun has executed. Yes, they've taken a lot of pressure, and yes, they've taken a lot and given up a lot of possession here to New York, but their counterattack has been spot on. Quick little outlet to Kyle Murphy, and you give Kyle Murphy that kind of space and kind of time, he gets his head up, he knows exactly where he's going.
Also talks about the physicality at 6'1" and 181 to be able to stay on his feet, keep his composure, get it to that favorite foot, and find the space to get the shot off, beat Lurie, and everything going Loudoun's way. 36 minutes in, 5 goals scored, 4 of them for the home team.
It's one of those beautiful things about soccer is New York's probably going to go into halftime wondering, my gosh, we're probably out-possessing Loudoun at this point in percentages and in all those categories, but we are 3 goals down, and this half is not even over.
It just talks about how the game of soccer is a complete game. Ball sent forward, Stroud flicking it into the middle. Brown misplayed it there for a moment. Had to work back to snatch it out of the air in the 6th.
Because everything you were talking about with Hartford Athletic and Tampa Bay Rowdies, it looks like New York's in the same position going backwards with Louisville City. With the being same on points at 57, it looks like they can go backwards in the standings as well. So you not only not capture 4th in the standings, you could
might
possibly
get
be a
tougher
6th
opponent.
Yep.
Ball sent in once again. Ball is in the 18. Mines. Here's Coffey. Little give and go there. They keep it inside the box. And that, you've coached this game, you've played this game for a long time, Eric. That looked a little soft.
It was, and unfortunately for Mo, it was just a careless and reckless challenge, and I agree with you. It was a soft call, but so unnecessary to put yourself in your team in that position. He's got his back turned to goal. He is going nowhere towards Callie Brown.
Matthias Jurgensen, he's got the foot. He's 12 yards, 36 feet away. Here now in the 39th. Right foot off the bar, gets his own rebound. It's going the other way. We stay at 4-1. He was trying to go high, got a little too cute.
Simple's better sometimes. You tell players, hey, whatever you have in your mind in terms of where you want to go, just go with it. And it seemed like he just complicated the finish a little bit.
And there was so much power behind that shot. If he had just picked either upper 90 he wanted with that pace, there was nothing that Callie Brown was going to do about it.
100%. He had very good pace on that ball. The pace that you want when you want to score a PK, just he's got to locate it a little better.
A Mo, flag up.
Again, I hate to keep harping on New York and their playoff position and their playoff run, but with the string of games and the string of losses they're coming into this game with, you're going into halftime and you're down 4-1. Obviously, now you have to find 4 goals to win this game, to even just to get it to 5-4. But if you drop this game, you're going into the playoffs going, what are we doing?
Coming the other way, led by Coffey. Has to pull up the brakes, get back up. Here's Stroud. Beasacourt centers. Stroud puts his head on it. Off the bar and knocked away. Loudoun dodges it. 40th minute, 4-1, nearly 4-2. Little unlucky, finding the woodwork twice in about 2 minutes.
It really comes down to Loudoun's just executing their game plan, just better, slightly better than New York. They've had their chances, they put 4 on the board. New York has really created, obviously just hit the crossbar on the penalty kick, just hit the crossbar there on Stroud's header. So New York has created their chances. So Loudoun's really just finishing their opportunities. And head coach Ryan Martin had talked about that earlier in the week, was he wants his team to finish those opportunities, and they have.
Taking a look at Red Bulls and in terms of what they have done second half of the season. July, 3 wins, 2 draws. Ball knocked away. Brown picks it up. 17 goals for, 7 against, plus 10. They go with wins over Bethlehem, Atlanta 8-1 over Atlanta, and Tampa Bay 2-0. August, they go 4 wins and a loss. Again, goal differential of plus 10. Endor just showing some real talent to stay on the ball, but he couldn't connect with a teammate. New York coming the other way. So in August, wins over St. Louis, Hartford on the road. The only loss was to Pittsburgh, the #1 current team in the East. That's knocked away. And then wins at Swope Park in Nashville. Coolly cleared out by the birthday boy. But New York staying on the ball. A lot of red kits all around it, but they just can't clear it out, and then they finally do. Foot race. Endor on his horse, 1 man to beat. He's in the box trying to cut over. He does. Big save. Rebound, back of the net. Gordon Wild makes it a 5-1 game. 42nd minute.
This New York team is just shell-shocked. They've done what they've wanted to do, executing their game plan, but this counterattack and Endor has been a handful. Great little move to get the shot off, and Gordon Wild doing a tremendous job of following up play.
Once again, illustrates my point. Rebounds should be statistics in soccer. It's 5-1, and we're not even through the first stanza. And I feel like I'm just timing this script perfectly, because now we get into September for New York. 1 win, 3 losses, and a draw. Goal differential is -3. Losses at Indy, a win over Charlotte, and then losses at St. Louis, at Lou City, a draw against Charleston. October, loss at North Carolina, loss at Birmingham, and now 4 goals down before they get into the dressing room.
Yeah, talk about a team going in the opposite direction, going playoff time. And now, you talk about September, October. I mean, not so much October now, but September. You never know with these affiliated clubs. Did they lose some players for a certain amount of time? Did they get some call-ups? Did they bring somebody down to get some fitness and things like that? But that July and August seems to be where they got a bulk of their points, because it looks like they were hanging their hat on those points to be a top 5 team, because the results they've gotten here in September and October, I don't know if they'd be playing this way and be in the top 5 right now.
Well, that's why I was really just looking at the second half of the season. Starts really strong, and then the wheels just fall off. Like I said, last win for New York, September 13th.
Yeah, that really does get into the psyche of a team, whether you want to say it or not. It does become a part of your your daily practice habits. It becomes a part of what you talk about is getting back on the win column and getting a solid result.
Coming back the other way, New York, we've seen this movie before. They center, that's headed on, and that's knocked away. Martinez will give New York a corner.
But now all these services, I mean, Loudoun's up 4 goals at this point. So now, as long as you don't do something silly and create a goal.
And that's driven and knocked away. McSherry took that one. And that knuckleball looked a lot more difficult of a save than Brown thought it was going to be. The ball kind of stayed up there and then dropped.
Yeah, it looked like Callie Brown thought it was just going to kind of sail over the back of the net. That backspin just made it drop.
Well, it's a good thing that Brown is 6'4". Another opportunity, overran it. Very coolly defended by Scarlett, and we're going to have 3 minutes of added time for your viewing pleasure. LeBeau into the box, knocked away by Wild. Stoppage time is brought to you by Ortho Virginia. So another corner. Trying to decide what he wants to do is Stroud, the lone goal scorer for New York. That coming in the 16th. Nobody was sure what they wanted to do with that ball. Corner coming up on the other side. Jurgensen is just going to hang out in the 6. And Bizacourt will go over and take this one.
Yeah, it looked a little awkward from both teams right there. It didn't look like Loudoun was committed to getting the clearance, and it didn't look like New York was committed to getting on the ball either. And you'd think that New York really wants to get a goal here at least before halftime and get this lead to 3.
Vincent sends it high in the air, headed away, and now chased down by Wild, but being very nonchalant about the placement of that ball, trying to send it forward for Endor, but he just couldn't get there. And New York will camp on the ball. Trying to find the 18, they do, and it's cleared out. It's Hunter Gorski who will send it out of play in another corner coming up. 60th minute now, Hartford nursing that 1-0 lead over Tampa Bay. Also, we'll check out throughout the league as the game progresses. Sent into the middle and headed out once again, then sent back out wide. Amo able to clear, but right back to New York. Nice back heel there, and they'll work that left side. They think they can get something going, but it's sent out of play, and Hunter Gorski is complimentary of Ben Mines, but I think it was a little on the sarcastic side.
I think New York going into halftime, if you're their head coach and their staff, it's about how can we start making our wide play pay off? Because they're getting the moments. They're getting the play wide. They're getting decent little services in, but you only have 1 goal to show for it. So you really, if that's the way you're going to go, and that's the game plan you're going to go with, which it's been working for the most part, but you're sitting here with 1 goal. Loudoun's really committed to a counterattack with Endor, and they're sitting with 5.
Gorski on the wing, can't put a foot on it. And that's going to do it for the first 45 plus 3. 5-1. Endor at 5. Bustamante, who's no longer on the pitch, at 13. Then Kyle Murphy at 33 and 36. And Wild at 42. Lone goal was Stroud for New York. We're going to take a break. When we come back. Halftime and a whole lot of fun. Don't go away. We are here on ESPN+. Welcome back. We're at Segra. Halftime is brought to you by National Conference Center. I'm Bruce Silverman along with Eric Dobransky. And Eric, 5-1. That's not your final. That's just through 45 plus 3. Eastern Conference, this is the way we're looking. As of right now, Nashville is your #1 seed, Pittsburgh #2. They will figure out, will it be North Carolina or Birmingham for Nashville? On the other side, it will be Ottawa or Charleston to go to Pittsburgh. And then we got Indy and Lou City. And right now it would be Rowdies and Red Bulls.
And we talked about it throughout the match that New York is really dictating their playoff position tonight. Rowdies losing to Hartford right now. They could jump to 4th, but they could also jump to get Indy 11 from the other side of the bracket.
Indy 11, just piling them on. And you're just seeing that goal, that amazing goal from all angles. And here in Tampa Bay, piling it on. Great ball movement right there. Just bing, 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 back of the net.
Good wide play, way to drag the Rowdies defenders wide, open up a far post run.
Yeah, every angle, it looks pretty. And I think we just got like 5 different angles on that one. Tampa on the other side, they've got some firepower too. Sometimes it's good to use the back of your head. I can't relate to the hair. I don't think you can either.
Nope. And obviously Tampa playing the hot hand right now and really looking to go into the playoffs and make a good, decent run. Obviously losing at Hartford Athletic tonight right now. But their season has had an incredible season, looking to secure up a 4th spot tonight. I believe with a Red Bulls loss, I believe they would secure that spot.
Poku from distance. There's just so much firepower with this Rowdies squad. Beautiful stadium right on the banks of the bay. So that's not a final, folks. We got 45 minutes to go when we come back. Loudoun 5, New York 1 here on ESPN+.
What this club is trying to do is offer a real sense of community.
But it's all about the process, make sure you're doing the little things right.
They have a really strong locker room, and everybody really wants to do well for the club.
Good afternoon, faithful. This is a big day. This is a big deal for us. This is a win for the community.
We've been averaging, between, I would say, 10 and 12,000 a game.
And it is a loud, boisterous 10,000, 12,000, and they love us, and we love them just as much. I mean, it's a reciprocal relationship at all times.
We never thought that we would grow this fast.
I have to pinch myself because, it sometimes seems too good to be true, but it's not. It's been pretty unbelievable, and it's been done better than I ever could have dreamt of, to be honest.
This is a club for New Mexico, by New Mexicans.
And I don't think that we're done yet. It's just getting started.
Welcome back. Segra 5-1. You're not looking at a typo. It really is 5-1 through 45 plus 3. Goals at 5, 13, 33, 36, 42. Time for news and notes. The grand conclusion. I love that. Credit to whoever made that headline. Birmingham and Pittsburgh tomorrow. And we still don't have a clear playoff picture yet in the East and the West. That's why we play the games through 34 games. And the playoffs will begin Wednesday. The final set for Sunday, November 12th at 7:30 on ESPN 2. In the East, right now, Nashville and Pittsburgh. Nashville is done for the season, 65 points for them. Pittsburgh has an opportunity to leapfrog. And then you look at that Indy, Tampa Bay, New York, Lou City, logjam, North Carolina, Ottawa, Charleston, and Birmingham. Up-to-date scores right now from around the league. Charleston, 5-1 was the final. We'll see if that will hold up here at Loudoun. 67th minute, Charlotte and Ottawa 1-1. Ottawa in the playoff picture. 68th minute now, Hartford and Tampa Bay. We've been talking about that matchup. 0-0, 68, North Carolina, St. Louis. Nashville, 1-0. 25 minutes in against Atlanta 2. Memphis, another one of those expansion teams, and the neighboring Lou City, and Memphis up to 1-0 in the 25th as well. So time for us to take one more break before we get started. Don't go away here on ESPN Plus. Welcome back. 5-1 through 45 plus 3. The home team on top. I'm Bruce Silverman along with Eric Dobransky. We're going to do some highlights, Eric. Buckle in because there's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. And Loudoun, it was all Loudoun early, and it's often. Endor, fantastic from the beginning whistle. He's muscled his way through in dangerous spots.
5 minutes in, he finds the back of the net, and then he feeds Bustamante. 13 minutes in, we're 2-0.
Yeah, and then unfortunately Bustamante gets hurt later in this half and is unable to continue. But it just shows how difficult Endor is to beat and really defend. And here you have the goal scorer in Stroud really be opportunistic. Callie Brown makes the first save, and he's right there at the right time, and that's what good goal scorers do.
That was the first rebound of the night that turned into a goal, 16th minute. And here is the PK. Murphy draws the foul, steps up, buries it. It is now a 3-1 game. We're only 33 minutes in. Murphy was not done on the breakaway, showing the strength, staying on his feet, right foot, back of the net. 3 minutes later, it's now 4-1.
And it was such a good response for Loudoun. They went up 2-0 early. Red Bulls responded a few minutes later to make it 2-1. You think that Red Bulls gets a handle of this game, and this explosion from Loudoun. And here goes Endor again. You're going to end up getting Wild making a good run here to follow play, and Gordon Wild buries that one.
That comes at the 42nd minute. Possession, you talked about it, Eric. Wouldn't be surprised if it's way out of whack despite the scoreboard. 68-32 shots on target in favor of Loudoun, obviously. Total shots in favor of Red Bulls. But the only stat that ever matters is the top line. It's 5-1 coming out of the locker room.
It does, and it's funny because it's so lopsided on each side, but you're absolutely right. All that matters is what was put in the back of the net and what's the score line, and it's 5-1 Loudoun. Yeah, they've only had 32% of possession, but guess what? You have 5 goals and New York has 1.
All right, so let's talk about it now. 45 minutes of the season left for Loudoun. New York's got more time to go, but they've got to right the ship. Haven't had a win since September 13th, and they are 4 goals down. You know, you'd say it's an impossible hole to climb out of, but the reality of it, if you can give up 5 goals in a half, it means you can score 5 goals in a half. But despite everything that New York is doing right, they just haven't found a way to beat Brown consistently.
They haven't converted on some of the wide play that they really enjoyed in the first half.
Here's Amo, back of the net. Just 17 seconds into the second half. Amo came in 30 minutes in for Bustamante, and he now makes it a 6-1 game. And this is not the start that Red Bull was looking for.
Not even remotely. And then you get Amo that he's subbed in for the injured Antonio Bustamante, and he's like, Antonio could score a goal, I could follow it up with a goal as well. And that's a heck of a start. You think head coach Ryan Martin's happy about his squad tonight, coming out less than a minute into the second half and really putting a statement. You think that New York spent the whole halftime trying to figure out how they're going to get back in this game, but now you're not only trying to get it back into a 5-1 game, now you're down 5 goals.
And who leads the charge?
Stroud, hopefully. I mean, obviously for New York.
But for Loudoun.
Yep, Indoor. I mean, really Indoor creating that havoc, and they're so preoccupied with Indoor there that Amo was really, it was almost like a red carpet to the goal right there.
Set piece coming up here. But when you have a player like Endor that draws so much attention, it makes everyone around you better.
It does, because he's going to open up space and open up gaps that some players don't find. And here's the foul on Amo, giving New York a set piece. They're going to need a lot of different things here in the second half to get back in this game now.
Stroud. And Brown takes his time. And Stroud, the lone goal scorer for New York, as that's punted forward by Brown, trying to do too much too quickly all by himself from long distance.
And this is what you're probably, unfortunately, going to see a little bit more of the second half here from New York, is maybe some more individualized kind of play in terms of, hey, let me put this team on my back a little bit, let me find a goal myself. But, you know, you could see how committed they are to getting the ball wide and getting runners in. They just haven't really been able to convert that way. And they just continue to kind of dig themselves into a hole.
Brown will take his time, and right now, Loudoun's just trying to figure out how do we stretch out this game and just run out the clock. And New York is probably trying to figure out how can we get on the bus.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even doubt that Loudoun's sitting there. I mean, you can see head coach Ryan Martin over there and the staff and the players. They're having a blast right now. Their season's ending tonight in less than 45 minutes. So I wouldn't doubt that they're probably sitting there thinking we could probably tack on 1 or 2 more here the way New York's playing.
Rocket shot knocked away, rebound sent back in. Opportunities abound for New York, but they can't turn it around.
And those are those moments that New York has had a good quality chances throughout this game, but they just can't seem to get anybody other than Stroud kind of on the end of those.
Ball once again in a position for New York. Bezecourt turned around on it, took his eye away from the ball. McSherry gives it back, a little give and go inside. Mind centering. Martinez is there to stop it. You know who else is having fun tonight? Fans are having fun. Might be chilly. Sales on scarves are probably pretty good too.
Yep, they're definitely enjoying seeing their team play for the last time tonight. And what a show Loudoun's put on, and what a show Indoors put on. Amo, this head coach right here, Ryan Martin, has got to be pleased with the way his team has really embraced this matchup tonight, and really playing the spoiler role too. Not letting New York walk in and say, hey, we're going to grab 3 points and we're going to jump to 4th. You might not only get a loss here, you might drop to 6th.
Bezecourt serving it up, headed out. McSherry put it into the stands.
And it's a little premature in terms of the score is lopsided, and obviously it's going to take a mountain to climb for New York to get back in this game. But I assume as a staff and as coaches and as players, you kind of continue through this September and October run that you're like, hey, it's only a loss. Don't let this loss spiral into another loss. So don't let these losses necessarily become more than they need to be. I wonder that conversation has got to be out the window along about 2 weeks ago. So, where do you go from here if this result stands?
And here's the thing. Loudoun's not taking their foot off the gas. They put the boulder down on the pedal, and they're just going to run it until there's no gas left in the tank.
Yep. They are going to keep going. And here's the foul on Murphy. Again, New York kind of putting themselves in some difficult situations because Murphy's going away from goal, probably what New York wants to see out of Loudoun's leading goal scorer, going away from goal. But you foul him, and now you're giving the Loudoun an opportunity to really kill some of the clock that you talked about earlier. Was really how do you kind of kill off this game.
Wild left foot. He brought the 9-iron. He really just needed the 3-wood. But when you're up 6-1, you can take chances like that.
Yeah, I guarantee if it was a tighter game, you're sitting there, you're like, that's a wasted set piece. But 6-1, let others have their opportunity. Gordon Wild has a goal tonight.
And that's been kind of New York's night. Mishandled. McSherry just not able to play it at his feet.
I mean, however you cut it, it's going to be disappointing for New York. Not even that we keep harping on the poor form that they've had the last month or so, but it's a different story when you come in to Loudoun and maybe it's like a 3-2 game, 2-1 game, 1-0. It's a tight game. But I mean, right now, you're owning possession, but Loudoun is absolutely owning the scoreboard.
Murphy, and the whistle goes against Murphy this time. Coffey's still down. And there you see the look on Kyle Murphy's face. What do you mean, Eric Tattersall, that was on me? We'll have to break down the replay when we get it. And Murphy getting booked in the 53rd minute. Murphy with the ball at his feet. Coffey was running around him. You be the judge.
Looks like Murphy did lose control there. Yellow card might be a little harsh on that one. I mean, obviously, I think the call against him is fair. But he just lost control of that ball for a split second. You got to love the competitiveness out of Murphy tonight.
Birthday boy gets a steal. Murphy's able to clear it out. any other time in the season, 2 goals and now a yellow card in the 53rd, Kyle Murphy's night might be over. Last game of the season, you're up 6-1, even if you have to play a man down.
Yep.
You know, Ryan Martin basically has every decision at his disposal this evening.
Yeah, and we weren't saying that earlier in the game when Antonio Bustamante went down, and they were kind of scrambling to be up a goal because they were up 2-1 at that point. And here we are. We were maybe feeling a little sorry for head coach Ryan Martin that he was going to have to get the 20-year-old out that had just scored and where he was going to go. But he puts in a Mo, and a Mo just kind of picked up where they left off.
Mine sending it in, cleared out by a Mo. Then knocked well down the pitch by Nyman. Endor, you just see how strong he is as he gets it out to Gorski.
And then on top of that, he fits Loudoun's style of play to a T. I mean, what they're looking to do in terms of getting numbers behind, be really, agitate the opponent in terms of not really giving them space in behind, really making channels tight to play into, and then finding that space in the counterattack. And then when you have a big physical player like Endor, I mean, that just complements this style of play.
Here's the thing that really blows my mind about him. He's only 18 years old.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And so the upside to this player is incredible.
Wild gets his pocket picked. Amo comes up trying to pick it back up. Gorski will step in front. Amo will send it backwards. And Loudoun now with the ball in the middle of the pitch and moving it forward. Have to retreat just a moment. Due. Murphy, he takes the bang. McSherry. Fans are calling for the yellow card.
And McSherry's got to be a little frustrated with Kyle Murphy at this point because he's the one McSherry's the one that fouled Kyle Murphy in the first half to give up the penalty kick. And you can see the youngster Nyman coming off, 15 years old, really did a good job. There you can see just McSherry just getting through the back of Kyle Murphy. It's been a battle all night. And unfortunately for McSherry, Kyle Murphy seems to be winning that battle.
Well, considering he's got a brace on the evening, I would say so. Here's Coffey. Long distance pass, foot race. Jurgensen will get there. And New York working outside of the 18. That substitution came in the 56th minute with Loudoun coming in. Ball will get sent out of play. Gorski will throw it in. It is 6-1 through 57 minutes. Goals by Endor at 5. Bustamante, who, as we said, is no longer in the game at 13. Kyle Murphy with a PK at 33, doubled it up at 36. Wild at 42. And Stroud the lone goal at 16. And then Elvis Amo, 17 seconds into the second half, makes it 6-1. New York just outside the box and just knocked away coolly. But New York still on it. And this is the deal, Eric. We saw it as McSherry sends it in and Brown covers up. Possession 68% in the first half for New York. They get 1 goal out of it. 32% for Loudoun, and they get 5 goals out of it.
Yeah, and we talked about it a bit in the first half as well, is both teams really executing their game plan for the most part, because you can see New York wants possession. They want to spray the ball out wide. They want to get good runners in. Loudoun wants to sit behind the ball, counter, find Endor in the counter. But right now, I mean, with New York, they're giving up way too much space to Endor and really Loudoun in the counterattack. and then they're just not getting really purposeful services in from this wide play. So that's something that they've got to get better at throughout. Well, they don't really have too much time at this point going into playoff time.
But they've got to find a way to stop the bleeding, because confidence in the playoffs is everything. Here's Mines. Goes to McSherry, who centers, and that's chipped over the net.
And those are those moments for New York that you've got to bury those, and you've been so productive getting the ball wide and getting a ball in, and you finally find an open player, and they sail it over the net.
That was Zayats, who just chipped it over the net. And sometimes in situations like that, you see a guy just put his foot out and just almost try to one-touch it rather than doing something actually with it. There was a prime example of it. Endor climbing the ladder. Scarlett goes down, and Endor is whistled on the infraction. We are an hour in.
You talk about the Loudoun team and how young they are. Obviously, Nyman just came off the field, 15-year-old. Bustamante at 20, had a goal tonight. Such a young group. They've got tremendous upside, and they're executing this counterattack game really well with Endor, like you mentioned, 18 years old. Imagine as these youngsters develop their game, they're going to be able to play both ways. They're going to be able to counterattack you and really attack that space. And then they're also going to be able to keep the ball as well, because Nelson Martinez is young as well.
17 years old.
17 years old. So he's on the ball now. So imagine as some of these midfielders really begin to develop, this team's just going to be even more lethal going forward.
Chipping it just wide. Endor was looking for the brace. He could have also had another assist, and Murphy could have had a corner, and Murphy seems to have injured himself sliding towards the post. And you see his foot just chipping the post as he slides on in. But how strong is Endor?
And it's so tough to defend him, because he'll face you up 1 versus 1. He'll make you take a step towards him, and then he'll just push the ball past you. And then in the counter, he'll physically be able to kind of push you off the ball and beat you 1v1 there. So many tools. You could see there's moments where he needs to develop a little bit more technically and be a little more consistent in that 1v1. And the ability, you saw it in the first half with Gordon Wild's, where you like to count rebounds as a stat on the Gordon Wild goal that came off the deflection and the rebound, is he had that creativity 1v1 to kind of put it behind the back and backheel it through him to himself. But you can see in Endor's game, he does need to develop that a little bit more. Maybe get a little bit more confident. I don't want to say confidence, because this kid's really going at defenders like a veteran. But you could see there's parts of his game that, wow, when he develops them, he is going to be one complete player.
Bezecourt has Stroud short. That's where he goes. Flicking it into the middle. McSherry. Not exactly sure what McSherry was thinking there, because he had an opportunity to take a shot, and instead he tries to float it, earns the corner. Bezecourt will go over and take it on the other side. Stroud will go over and keep him company. Loudoun there too. But if you're gonna take the time, take the rip. Ball is short, and it goes out of play, but this time Brown will send it forward.
And this game really might even go back to the PK that Jorgensen had earlier in the first half, and then the miss they had on the ball wide. And then now with McSherry, it seems like when New York gets in that final third in that 18-yard area, they've complicated this game a little bit. There's a couple chances out there. Now, Loudoun still has put up 6 on you, so that's a big gap. But, you know, New York should really have 2 or 3 goals for themselves.
That goes over, and now what you're seeing is New York is just forcing everything. It's just we're down 6-1. Let's just take shots from everywhere. But what this does is it completely takes you out of your rhythm. You're looking at the playoffs. Playoffs, it's a brand new season. It's win or go home. So it's almost like right now in the last 26, 27 minutes, what can New York do to get back to fundamental football? Because right now, they're just playing street yard football.
It is. It's every player for themselves. They're trying to do a little too much in different areas, and you just hope that New York doesn't really develop these habits going into the playoff and really can fix some of these things.
But credit to Loudoun because they're playing bend, don't break, and they're well defending. Amo sending it forward. Wild a little high, controls it, sending it forward. Loudoun off the chest, sending it forward. And here's the man, Endor, ripping it. Big save. And there's the difference. Endor in a year takes the ball another 6 to 12 yards before he takes the shot.
Exactly. You know, maybe he takes another touch and separates a little bit farther because he had the New York defender turned around.
Ball into the middle, and that does find the back of the net. Jorgensen makes it a 6-2 game in the 65th.
I mean, for a 12 versus 5 matchup, we've had a lot of excitement in terms of goal scoring, and there you go. New York finally puts one away out of the wide play out on the left side. It just might be a little too late.
But these opportunities that we just saw in this last exchange, they have been there all night long for New York.
Correct. And you could see that it comes off a little bit of a deflection off a New York player at the top of the 18, and so a little fortunate to kind of end up at the foot of the goal scorer, but it really has been, and that's why, you know, again, defensively, you're getting countered. You did let Loudoun put up 6, but you should really have more than 2 at this point. You just need to become more clinical in front of goal.
New York turning it the other way. And just bringing it forward. Coffey battling his way into the 18, but there's plenty of great kits around, and they're just not serving it up. As you said, it's every man for themselves.
And I would love to kind of, you know, maybe get inside and talk to some of the players in terms of even just the staff in terms of for Red Bulls is you're watching a team that's scored 71 goals total this season, now 73 with the 2 tonight. They can clearly score goals. They're going into tonight, they were a plus 27 goal differential. So they can clearly outscore their opponents. Oh, and here they go with
going to the spot again. Jorgensen hit the post on the last opportunity. Looks like Bizacourt wants this one. I love when guys just pick up the ball, they take it to the spot. They're not looking at the coach. They're not looking at their teammates. It's my ball, and I'm taking the shot.
And you like that as a coach sometimes, too, because it just shows the confidence in which a player has.
Brown, Bizacourt, 67th minute. Tattersall is directing traffic. And Brown, the 27-year-old, guesses the right way, knocks it away. And Loudoun clears it out.
Well, we talked about confidence. That wasn't struck with much confidence. We talked about Jorgensen's earlier strike. He hit it with really good pace, but missed the spot. Here, Bizacourt seems to have his spot picked out, but just scuffs it a little bit and doesn't really put it the pace that he has to beat Callie Brown there.
Substitution here as Mines is going to check out in the 68th. And we got another substitution as Murphy's going to come out. And Dan Brott is coming in. So Murphy with the brace and the yellow card. The captain will check out. 68 minutes of service Suey comes in at 68 as well.
And with this Kyle Murphy change, looks like head coach Ryan Martin really wants to defensively lock this game down. It looks like, just like the first half, New York's controlling possession. They're getting that wide play going, but it does look like they are creating quite a few more dangerous opportunities than they did in the first half. And so maybe head coach Ryan Martin really wants to defensively lock it in and really get a better rhythm. You know, try to get this game to at least the 75th minute. It's still 6-2, because not give up a silly one here.
Lifts it high in the air outside of the 6, headed around the other side. Brown will kick it away. Can't remember the last time I did a game in which a team had 2 penalty kick opportunities and didn't convert either one. 3 on the evening. We've had 8 goals. I knew that this was going to be a wild affair, 34th game. Loudoun trying to make a statement, trying to get the attention of Martin, of Olsen et al. And we're having basically the game that I was expecting.
Yeah, and you said it perfectly earlier in the game, was that New York was probably going to try to grow into the game, try to see what Loudoun was going to do, and Loudoun was going to have a clear-cut opportunity.
Lubin centers, was looking for Endor, but didn't have enough oomph on the pass. And Lubin is going to come over and try to steal it away. We got a whistle from behind. New York player down. And that's Scarlett, the man out of the Bronx. Can you imagine growing up in the shadow of Yankee Stadium and you end up wearing a Red Bulls kit?
It's got to be a good dream. It's got to be a good environment.
You know, he wears 35. You would think maybe you would want to wear number 3. Grow up in the shadows of the house that Ruth built. Ball spending a lot of time in the air. Amo gets whistled for that infraction.
I think you were spot on earlier when you said that Loudoun's was in really bending but don't break mentality defensively.
And they're still there. Maybe a little too nonchalant as that's cleared out.
And in those spells where they've been nonchalant, New York really hasn't been able to punish them for being nonchalant. So you talk about the 6 goals that Loudoun scored, and you know, you do get into the inconsistency that Loudoun's seen over the season and things like that. You just wonder, is that bend but don't break mentality and style of play defensively, is it something that can sustain it through a long, successful run through a season for a Loudoun team? Now, I do believe that as this team develops, the youngsters kind of grow and get experience, they're going to be able to maybe get on the ball a little bit more than they are at this point.
And I got to wonder, with what we've seen out of Endor, will we see him in a DC United kit at some point next year? Wild out wide for Gorski. Hunter will gather it up. Nice pass through to the middle, back to Wild, sending it forward. Endor. Ball in a precarious position, finding the back of the net. And Wild has the second brace on the evening here in the 72nd minute. 7-2 Loudoun.
It's just been poor defending from New York, so casual. We talk about some of the casual play out of the back by Loudoun. It hasn't even been casual play out of the back for New York. It's just been casual play in terms of second balls. This ball is just kind of a deflected ball, but nobody's around to clean up that second ball. It's a deflected ball off their own defender, and Loudoun's the first one to get to it. And Gordon Wild sitting there being opportunistic. Good left foot, gets his second goal of the night. I mean, this performance by Loudoun has been incredible.
We start back up. Before the game, I went into the control booth and I said, guys, we're going to have 7 goals tonight. And now we have 9. They're laughing in the control room right now. Here's Loudoun once again. Wild, I was trying to surprise you. Endor. Flag one up. Endor with the hat trick on assists this evening. 7 goals. Murphy almost had a hat trick of his own. Wild is still on the pitch. Ryan Martin has used all 3 substitutes. So whoever's in a red kit is going to finish out this game.
And I think whoever's in a red kit wants to prove you wrong with the 7 goals and maybe make it 8. They got 17 minutes, over 15 minutes to find an 8th one.
Look, I just said 7 goals on the game.
Yeah,
I didn't
gotcha.
say one team was going to score. I was thinking 4-3.
Gotcha. Okay. And we go back to the comment that you made about DC United and Endor.
Gorski climbing the ladder and I think he just fell on his face. He's full of the pellets.
Sometimes, as well as they make this turf nowadays, it's still not a really great surface to land on. And I go back to that comment that you made about DC United and Endor, and I agree with you 100%. I think that's got to be something that maybe, you know, Ben Olsen's looking at. But, you know, as head coach Ben Olsen thinks about it, do you keep Endor in a situation here at Loudoun where he's playing 90 minutes, playing, you know, getting used to that kind of style of play, and then bring him up? Or do you bring him up and then, you know, he occasionally gets a start or a couple minutes here and there for DC United? But this kid's been impressive tonight.
Substitution. As Jurgensen is going to come out. Marildo is coming in here in the 75th minute. Brown, the former member of Sounders 2, sending it forward out of the University of Virginia. All these guys all over the pitch with really, really good schools. You know, we talked about all the Ivy Leagues for Red Bull, but you look at Virginia Tech, a lot of Virginia and New York, New Jersey for Loudoun as well, including Hunter Gorski, the New York native. And that whistle will stop play there as well. Gorski is 28 years old. Been playing professionally since 2010. 45 games from 2013 to 15 with the New York Cosmos, and then 42 games for Tampa Bay. Coming back the other way, Wild. Can he get his hat trick? And he dribbled himself right out of an opportunity. Martinez sending it back the other way. Amo with the ball at his feet. Backheel pass. Here's Loudoun. He's going to take his opportunity, and that goes wide. Going back to Gorski, 42 games in 17 and 18 with the Rowdies. Then played overseas for 12 games before he came over for Loudoun. And just a true professional. And Ryan Martin talked about the professionalism on and off the pitch that he brought to this squad in terms of the leadership. And when you got a guy who's played over 100 games professionally at this level, and you've got so many young players, including Nyman, 15 years old, Gorski's the kind of guy that players can really learn from.
And going back to your point about college soccer and the education that a lot of these players have received from different schools, there's a couple points in that in terms of a lot of the schools building resources and creating resources for college soccer, men's soccer programs, college soccer programs, and then the investment in the coaches to develop those players as well. So a lot of these players, you know, maybe 10 plus years ago and things like that, you maybe really base your decision on what you want as a future as a player. So if you have a couple schools in your options, you're like, okay, well, who helps me become a pro? Now, really, all these schools have done a tremendous job of really bringing in coaches, staff, support staff, and really making it a priority to develop everybody at every level. And now these kids can really, hey, this is where I want to go have an education.
Ball sent into the box, headed out by Martinez. Loudoun puts his head on it. Martinez was braking on it. Thought he could keep it in play. He doesn't do it. So throw in coming up. And with the opportunities in USL between championship and League One, more players, I think, are going to take the opportunity to play in college. Cleared out from behind as Endor was on his horse. Nice play by Jordan Scarlett.
Yeah, that relationship has really developed well between USL, college soccer, those coaches. Those coaches are a good, tight-knit group where that communication's always there. What kind of player are you looking for? What kind of style player are you looking for?
Over the top, nobody home, and it will eventually go out of play past the touchline. Player down for New York, cramping up. For years, quality young players developing in different academies throughout the country. We're all told if you want to play professionally, you can't go to college. And we're seeing that that's not the case anymore. Programs are getting better. And also with more professional opportunities being created, all the teams that we have in USL Championship, more teams coming online, in League One next year, more professional opportunities. You're going to see more kids going to college, getting the education, and then making their way into the USL system.
You are, and I think college and USL and the pro development system is really understanding that as well. Being a college coach myself, you're starting to see the communication open up about, as a college coach and as college players, it's tough because you have a 3-month season. You're playing August, maybe to mid-November, maybe December, depends on how good your team is going into the tournament. So sometimes that development is very hard to establish at the college level because you're just trying to win college soccer games in a 3.5 month span, where a lot of these pro systems, they want to develop different things tactically and different ideas and technical habits and things like that. So even that door has started to open in terms of, hey, maybe college soccer eventually goes to a year-long season instead of stuffing 18 games, 20 games into a 3-month season, and where you're risking development and you're really not having the ability to develop, and then you get into injuries because you're asking kids to play 2 games a week, 4 games in 2 weeks, and not giving them the time to do it. Whereas in the pros, you have all those games, but you have all that time to develop yourself as a pro as well. So you could see that with college soccer as well. They're not going to do it anytime soon, but understanding that college soccer is becoming our link to the pros, and we've got to be able to develop our players to get ready for that.
McSherry's back on the pitch. Amo, and he is down. Ball coming the other way. Numbers in favor of New York. Emeraldo was pulling up the brakes. Little give and go there. Ball outside the box. Zayats. Bezecourt was trying to fight his way through, and here comes Loudoun coming the other way. Numbers, red kits. Endor will have to run back on this one. Trying to get around McSherry, and that's knocked away. It will belong to Loudoun. And actually, instead of a throw, it will be a set-piece opportunity.
I'm really going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say this result might stand. I think
at 7-2, or is Loudoun winning?
Loudoun winning.
Okay.
just like you were right about 7 goals in the game, and then I love your comment about rebound should be a stat, because
I've been saying it for years. To me, it's an exciting play. Here's Wild, 2 goals already on the evening. Served it up beautifully for Dambert. Loudoun well off the mark, but we stay in play. Here's Bezecourt coming the other way. And Amo just stops him in his tracks. He stays on the ball. Emeraldo sent forward, back heel. Bezecourt, and Brown made it look a little bit more dramatic than it needed to be.
At some point, he figured out that he had that left side covered, so he knew he could just let it roll out of play and milk a little bit more time off this clock as well. So you can see not too much pace put on this shot by Bezecourt, and then Brown drifting to his left, realizing that he has everything covered.
Long distance, ball almost gets to Wild, but it is Scarlett. Gives me an opportunity to tell you, Segra, with its industry-leading customer service and one of the East Coast's largest fiber networks, is powering organizations of all sizes with state-of-the-art voice data and internet services. Whether you're a municipality, a large business, or a fledgling startup, Segra knows you can't afford to be down. And that is almost a goal for Loudoun as he goes just out wide. And McSherry is just a little too slow now, coming back from that cramp. All 3 substitutions for both teams have been used. We're in almost the 85th minute. Gorski ushers that one out. And Gorski will take his time throwing it in. Goes back to Amo. And that was a poor throw in. Amarildo trying to run his way through, gets stopped up. Due. And he'll send it over the top. He's trying to connect. Fans wanted a handball, trying to connect with Endor. And play comes the other way. The one thing, Eric, that New York's done is they continue to move this side of the pitch. I don't think possession-wise they've really fallen off from the 68% that they had in the first half. The difference is they're just on the other side of the scoreboard.
They are, and you know, New York and well, Loudoun's really allowed New York to possess there in the middle third, but as soon as they hit that final third, they've done a good job of pressing them and making them play into tight windows.
Ball into the middle. Loudoun put a foot on it. There's an example. We're 85, 86 minutes into this game. Loudoun still the concern for them. How do they clear the ball from inside the box? New York still on it, chipping at the other side. Nobody's home. Again, that lack of clearance. And that's probably one of the best clearances we've had all evening. Put it out of play. Make it so that you can't get the ball coming back your way.
Well, I think it highlighted some of the difficulties for both teams tonight. So Loudoun struggled with the clearances, and then New York's really struggled to connect with the ball in the final third.
And that's sent out of play by the birthday boy.
But at this point, when you're Loudoun, you're just trying to figure out how to finish off this game. New York's probably sitting there scratching their head where they're just trying to figure out how they want to end this next, you know, you're going to have a little bit of stoppage time, how you end this next 6 to 8 minutes.
Sending it short. And here's where Loudoun is struggled, but they do clear it out. Send it back enough to make New York retreat. Now New York on the side of the pitch they want to be on, and they've been here the majority of the evening. When we get to the stats after the game, they're going to be very, very telling. New York doing what they've been doing all evening long, Zayats, and they just can't turn on it. Sui. And there's a prime example of what's happened, Eric, since New York has been down in a position where they weren't going to come back. Every man for themselves, and these strange weak shots coming from long distance. Doesn't make any sense.
It really hasn't been anything productive for New York. So, and this is not how you want to be getting into the playoffs right here. Now, you know, we keep going back about how poorly this September, October is. New York, you're in the playoffs. So can you restart your season? Can you really buy into, hey, let's get it, let's move forward with what we're doing. We've got to clean up some of these things. You can't give up 7 goals next time. And I think the concerning thing that you would have is that maybe teams that have New York in the playoffs, whether it's Indy 11, whether it's Tampa, do they look at this as a blueprint to frustrate New York?
New York is going to have a very interesting training week to get ready for the playoffs. Here comes Sue. And that's cleared out in the right direction. So the last 2 or 3 clearances by Loudoun have been strong. But here is New York once again. Zayats going to tee it up, putting it into the body of Dewey. You look at this score, we're in the 89th minute, it's 7-2. You think it's a baseball score. Right now it's 3-1 Astros over the Yankees, top of the 3rd. But that really is a score that you would expect would be a World Series score with the Nationals about to play in their first ever World Series.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, this game really didn't give itself any ability to be a tactical adjustment game, where in New York you really didn't have any ability to change tactics.
Another shot goes wide. That one by Elney.
So you can't even sit here and be like, well, you know, New York maybe didn't adjust to this and that. Unfortunately for New York, Loudoun's game plan was just executed early and often in that first half and really put the game out of reach there. And then with New York really having to try to, you know, climb a mountain to get back in this game, they really did leave themselves open for even more counterattacks by Indor. And then when Mo came on, and then Kyle Murphy. So that's why Loudoun's able to tack on the other two. And Loudoun's won both of these halves. Obviously the score is what it is, but you know, 5-1 first half, 2-1 here in the second half. So there wasn't really anything that the New York staff and the head coaches and the coaches could do. There was nothing tactically they could change, because by the time they looked up, it was 5-1.
Well, not only that, when you can control a game, when you're not controlling the ball, that is impressive.
Yes, yes. That's incredibly impressive, and I think that just shows you the commitment by this Loudoun team to play the way head coach Ryan Martin wanted to play tonight.
That will go the other way. We got 1 minute of added time for your viewing pleasure. 1 minute to go in Loudoun's season. And New York will back their way into the playoffs. Here's Sue. He finds the back of the net. It's 7-3. We've got 10 goals on the evening.
And I think that spark of energy from New York came as soon as they saw just 1 minute at data time. I definitely thought there would have been at least 2 or 3 minutes with a couple injuries that we had.
Well, and the goals that we've had scored.
Yeah. So to 1 minute is going to be surprising. That little bit of extra energy from New York probably was like, oh yes, there's only 1 more minute left in this match. And all of a sudden they find themselves finding the back of the net.
Here's Wild, he's got 2. And he's retreating, so that will do it for the evening. Loudoun finishes their season with a 7-3 win at home, and the fans appreciate it.
Really excitement from all angles too, because even though New York lost 7-3, they really did create a number of opportunities as well.
Loudoun finishes the season 4-game winning streak. Tonight's final score brought to you by Segra, and it is 7-3. 10 goals on the evening. And the fans certainly were treated to an outstanding performance by this first-year club. Time for us to jump out, take a break. Don't go away, because we've got highlights and more. 7-3 your final on ESPN+. Welcome back to Loudoun. Your final 7-3. Tonight's full-time highlights are brought to you by Segra. And smiles on the faces of the guys who poured it on tonight. And it was early and it was often.
Yeah, and right off the bat, Endor made his presence felt. Really physical player. Found good space. Put it on his right foot there.
And that was in the 5th minute. Bustamante in the 13th minute. He only lasted until the 30th minute. And then Elvis Amo came in for him. On the other side, New York. Beasacourt, rebound, Stroud, back of the net. That's in the 16th minute.
And at this point, we're thinking that New York is climbing their way back into this game, falling down 2-0, and then Stroud gets them on the board at 2-1. But then Loudoun just turned it on.
Murphy, one-man wrecking crew, fouled by Scarlett. And the man who earned the foul earned the PK. And now it's 3-1. Murphy with his first of 2. The second one coming up right here just 3 minutes later. Right on a dime. Strength to stay on his feet, finds the back of the net. That's in the 36th. He had a yellow card at 53 and checked out of the game at 68.
And you'll see throughout the highlights for Loudoun is New York struggled with the physicality that Loudoun had up top, whether it was Kyle Murphy, whether it was Endor. Amo even went right at him. And here you could see your favorite kind of goal, the rebound goal.
That comes in the 42nd minute. And then 17 seconds in to the second half, Elvis Amo gets his goal.
Yeah, he didn't even let us discuss how New York was going to climb back into this game less than a minute in.
Nope. That finds the back of the net, so at least New York's not giving up at this point. Jurgensen at 65. But coming right back the other way. Here's Wild laying off. Endor puts his foot on it. Wild picking it back up. He gets his brace in the 72nd.
And it just shows you how opportunistic Loudoun was all night, because Gordon Wild's the one that started the play with the entry pass, and he just kept his run going.
And here's Suey. He finds the back of the net. That one's in stoppage time. 7-3, your final. And here it is. Possession exactly the same. Eric, I told you it really wasn't going to change. 32 shots for New York. They get 3 goals out of it. 18 shots on the other side. They get 7 out of it. The only stat that ever matters is the top line. Loudoun finishes their season with 11 wins, 39 points. Red Bulls, they'll be in the playoffs, but they are stuck in neutral right now, maybe even in reverse.
And you even talk about the Loudoun stats. You talk about the efficiency. You see 10 shots on target for Loudoun, 7 goals. I mean, that's an incredible percentage right there.
Tonight's stats were brought to you by Segra. What a fun evening here in Loudoun. Really had a blast with you, Eric. Thank you very much. Have enjoyed it. Have enjoyed the entire USL Championship season, as now we are in our 34th and final game. So, for Eric Dombrowski and for everyone here in Loudoun, in the truck, in the booth, I'm Bruce Silverman. Thanks for being with us. 7-3 is your final. Loudoun taking care of New York. See you, everybody.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.